Hey guys, it's Steve from Suspended Ceilings Queensland here again, back with another little video article on how to get a suspended ceilings price. Now, this is a question I get asked pretty much every day. I get the phone call, hey Steve, I'm doing a budget on a suspended ceiling, what should I allow? I'm not going to hold you to it. Fortunately, generally they do, or they get upset when their budget gets blown out. But to put it into perspective, if you ring and ask me for a suspended ceilings price, it's a little bit like ringing up a car dealership and asking them for a price on a car, but you don't know what car you want. You don't know what extras, whether you want finance. You don't even really, maybe you know the colour. To put an analogy on it, that's around about how close that is. So for me to give an accurate price and to keep variations to a minimum, I need to get as much information as I possibly can so that I can put the whole job into context to give you an accurate price. There's a couple of companies out there, quite a few actually, that they base their business model on actually stinging for extras. So it's like, oh, you didn't say that you needed this. Otherwise, bit of this or no more ceiling. I better go and give that back to my granddad. I borrowed it off him. We don't work like that. We try and get as much information as possible, and we try and sort out any extras or any extra requirements at the beginning of the job, or as much as we can to keep practical. Occasionally, we have clients that change their mind halfway through, and that's when a genuine variation starts. But for things that there's a lot of things I see in my industry that I feel it should have been picked up at the start of the quoting process that aren't, that I see around the place, and I try and keep those things to an absolute minimum and try and eradicate them completely as best I can. And we do that by asking a lot of questions to the client, and if we don't have enough information, we tend to come out and we'll have a consult on site and start to figure out what your requirements are, where the budget's sitting, and then we move forward from there. So what we can do to keep best possible way to help me out to give you an accurate price is to give me a set of plans. If you give me a well-drawn set of plans that clearly show the area, sizing, and what sort of ceiling's required with a couple of sections so I know rod heights and such forth. If I've got structurals, even better again, because then I can calculate whether or not you need additional bracing. That's great. If I can get that, so that's the first step. If you don't have that, that's okay. We do come out and consult with you guys, and then start to at least ascertain what you look, and then start to steer you in the right direction for certain other services that might need to get involved, just so that you're not left with any unwanted surprises halfway through the build. And let's face it, no one wants that. Nothing worse than, say, if I was buying a new car and I go to pick my car up and they go, oh, sorry, Steve, that'll be another, we didn't give you a price for a car with wheels. You've got to pay extra for that. So it seems ridiculous, but I view my industry as exactly the same. I try and keep everything on budget. We try and get as many factors sorted out at the beginning as we can, and that just helps. It helps everyone. It helps the client keep their project on budget, and also it saves any arguments or slowdowns midway through the job. If we can sort it out at the beginning, exactly what's required, then that's a smoother job overall. So, and it's just a way better experience for everyone involved. So let's run through a couple of bits and pieces just to help you understand why a ceiling can be a different price. It's a ceiling. Ceiling's a ceiling, right? No, it's not. Okay, what type of ceiling? Is it a plasterboard ceiling, a flush set plasterboard ceiling, which you do have to allow to have painted, so just don't forget that as well. But the majority of what I install are tile ceilings. So the most obvious question is, what tile would you like? I can get my hands on around about 85 different types, and they range from around about $7-8 a tile. I think that one there is about 70-ish, something there. I've got a couple I can get my hands on that are worth about $110 a tile. That's a pretty big difference just in a tile. That's before not talking about grid or anything else. Is a ceiling flat? What shape's it in? Is the space comprised of, a heap of small ceilings or one big ceiling? It takes me longer to build. It takes me a lot longer to build 1,000 meter ceilings as what it does to build 1,000 meter ceilings. So these are all things that we have to look at. At the moment, so probably in the last 12 months, there's been a very large crackdown on seismic compliance here all across Australia, but here in Queensland, and the QBCC are policing that. So that's something we have to consider. So are those requirements there? So and that's where your set of plans comes in, so that they can be sent away and assessed to see if that's a requirement and something that you need. We also do a lot of just simple tile replacements. So a lot of the time, the budget does not allow to replace an old ceiling. The money's simply not there. So what normally happens is the client opts for just replacing the tiles to help freshen the space up a little bit, and we've done so to huge effect. We've had some amazing results in spaces when it comes to that. But in areas like that, what a lot of people don't realise is there's two sizes of grid. One's metric and one's imperial. And no, they do not fit each other. So with a metric grid, I've got a choice of about 100 different tile types at the moment. With imperial, I think I can get my hands on 2, and they're not cheap. So that's a pretty big difference. So simply just for running a tape over what you've got. So those sort of things. A lot of people, they wouldn't have a clue whether or not they've got a metric or an imperial grid type. So just another thing to look at. So for the new builds, suspended ceilings are exactly that. They're suspended, they hang. So obviously I need something to hang that off, and manufacturers have got a minimum guideline about, and so do Australian standards on how those get hung and how far apart they are. Your job might not even be possible to hang a suspended ceiling there. So that's something else we have to look at. And so there's different methods of suspension, and some are more costly to put in than others, quite substantially. So some need additional bracing work up at roof or up at substrate level, just so that we can actually make your ceiling compliant to keep it safe for everyone. And that's sort of a huge factor in it. Is if it's not safe, I won't put it up. Plain and simple. So we need to have a good look to make sure all those things are in place, and so that we can allow for those things, so that we're not getting on site and saying, hey, look, you didn't tell me that your purlin was at this spacing, so now you're going to cop an extra charge for the extra hangers required to bring that up to compliance. So it is pretty important that we do have those conversations at the start, and we try and work out exactly what it is that you need, and put your job properly into context, so that we can give you an accurate price. Okay then, guys, I'm going to check out here. Hopefully that's been a little bit of help. Look down, see if you can like the channel down below. I'll put extra links to different services that we offer down the bottom. And take care and enjoy your new ceiling. See you guys.